should be live in a few seconds. Yes, we're live now.
I
Well,
know.
welcome, Margo, Margie. What
Yeah,
should I call you? What should I call you?
everything is okay with me. I'm used to it.
As you see, we've got no intro for those of you that are joining us. Thanks for joining us. This is my first time back after 2 weeks, so I'm a little bit rusty, and I'm using a different program to bring Margie on with no intro, as I say. So, what can I do? Margie, great to have you with us.
Thank you. This
I
is
don't
going
think
to
I'm
be,
ever going to get your name right.
that's okay. I'll answer as long as it's polite.
I just thought because we had such a good conversation in Florida, it was Florida, wasn't it? Jacksonville.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
and you had a vision that was it a vision? A
Uh,
revelation.
it was kind of revelation
Yeah.
of a lot of different things. Yeah,
Yeah.
for a
You
long
had a
period.
revelation that had really impacted you. But for the
Yeah.
sake of those maybe that are joining us for the first time on recording or live, could you just give us I don't want this to be the main portion of it, but could you just give us a little bit of background of your career and stuff like that and bring
Okay.
us up to date?
Since it's 82 years, I don't want to go into any detail. I was married to a really wonderful and godly man for 53 years.
Yeah,
And in those 53, well, those years, we raised three kids, two
yes.
adopted, one natural. And now we have seven grandkids and four great grandkids. So I've got a house full. Uh, we were both very loyal to the Methodist Church because that's the church that we joined the whole time that we've been married. We were in the Methodist Church until we moved to Oklahoma. And
So
after
where
that,
did you work? Sorry, you said you moved to Oklahoma. So where were you
yeah,
before?
from South Carolina and Virginia, the two states that we lived in.
Okay.
Then we came out to Oklahoma, and I hate to tell you this, but that was a culture shock when I came out here.
Well, why did you come out to Oklahoma? What was the reason for that? What
Uh,
motivated it?
his job changed,
Oh, his job. Yeah.
job, right? And
Just
we
just being
attended.
nosy. Just sorry, Mark. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I should let you flow. But
That's all right.
why was it a culture change? Just explain to maybe those in the UK and
So,
outside of the US.
from Virginia and South Carolina in the South, things move very slow. And a lot of things are more formal. You come
Right.
out here and everybody wears the cowboy hats and jeans, and they don't take their hats off inside of restaurants. They wear the hats. It just was quite different. I got used to it,
I
and
think
I've,
I was thinking when you said that, maybe that's a good place to send Debbie. Slow it, slow it down a bit.
I don't. She might not like that.
Oh,
uh, I lost my train of thought, but
sorry.
you know, I want this to be fun. We had so much fun when I was sharing a lot of this stuff, and I want the fun to still be there.
Yeah,
Um, uh, my husband was the type of person who would fit in no matter where.
yeah.
He fit in every job in the church, and he served every job in the church, and he was just always in the forefront. And he was very good at fitting in. Not so much me. I guess I was a rebel. I always thought different. I said things different, and most of the time I was just told, just keep your mouth shut. We're not interested. So I did a lot of that. um, through all these years, I was a math teacher, and I know
Wow.
everybody groans about the dreaded math teacher,
I love
but
the maths. I love the numbers.
I do too. And I want to set something straight. I am not an expert in math. I know what little bit I do know, I love and appreciate. And just because I'm good at math doesn't mean I automatically know everything about the Hebrew numbers. So I do a lot of studying. my math background and my science background provided me with the tools to be able to take things apart. So
Well,
that
that's
comes
that's
after,
part of, but that's a good tool to have when you're dealing with the living letters.
right?
Yeah,
And that's that's I've done. And I've learned. I've had lots of resources, and I've learned from people. I learned from you, things we share on the hangouts and the meditation. So I'm forever learning something new. I expect to keep learning, period.
yeah. Debbie just wrote she wouldn't cope. Let me just say hello to a few people, Margo, Margie, Margie, Margo, and then we'll get into it. We'll get down to the subject. We've got
Okay.
Debbie Shakespeare on from Barrie, Canada. Uh, is it afternoon there? Yeah, it's afternoon,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah. Good afternoon to you, Debbie. On the Rock from New Zealand, and I think that's, if I'm correct, that's a morning time. That's tomorrow. That's Monday morning for Janet. Gail Ann from Florida. Good afternoon, Gail. Christine Robinson. Hello from Barrie, Ontario, Canada. Debbie's on. Debbie Beck. Diane Evelyn Clark from Canada. We've got quite a few Canadians on today, Margie. Joyce Stencil. Good afternoon, Joyce. I had a great talk with Joyce the other day. Doug, Doug and Laura uh, from Canada again. Wow. Oh, we've got Bill Williams on. Hello, Bill. Uh, we had Bill on a couple of weeks ago, Margie. Uh, Great to have you with us, Bill. Emma Harvey from Scotland. What are we saying here? Uh, Gail is telling Debbie that I'm picking on her, Margie. Luann
Okay.
Wyman. Let me just go through the list quickly. Brenda. Uh, where are you from, Brenda? Your sister Brenda is.
Yes, that's my sister in
Oh,
Florida.
okay. Okay, yeah, yeah. All right. Let's get Helen Bottler. Bonjour to you, Helen, from south of France. Let's get back to the subject. Sorry, Margot.
Okay. Well, I got interested in the Hebrew numbers and letters in a very interesting way. Quite a few years ago, gave me a book called the oh man, and then tell my the book of I can't even think by Jonathan Kahn. He is a messianic rabbi,
Yeah.
and I think it's Book of Miracles. That's what it was, and it was a set up to be meditation day after day. And his whole thing was he talked a lot about the Hebrew traditions, the festivals and the feasts, and the names of places. And he always approached it from the Hebrew standpoint.
Gail Ann says it's the Book of Mysteries, she thinks, that you were
Yeah,
reading.
I think I get somebody to straighten me out. I
Yeah.
have the senior moments, and some things just disappear. Um, and I have read that book from cover to cover, and it's got so many things in it. I have cross-referenced everything, and that has been for me the starting point for a lot of things. So I had an introduction to the Hebrew way of thinking before we started with the letters and numbers.
Again, I'm going to interrupt on you. I did say this during our pre chat. What's the difference then between Hebrew thinking and Gentile?
Well, with the Gentile or the Greek, you just start at one point and you progress to one point. It's a
Straight
straight
line.
line. But with the Hebrew, there's so many different meanings of the same word, and there's a history in the word. It's not just the definition of the word; it's got the picture and the number and everything with it.
The
So it
English, the
totally,
English doesn't. Sorry, Mark. The English doesn't have that, does it?
you know,
No.
the Hebrew is the only language that has three different things with it. English
Mm.
has the word, the end, spelling of the word, and the definition. We don't have nice little pictures that go along with it. So my thinking just gradually changed, and that's why I like the circles. It's all intertwined. There's so much.
Does a circle represent eternity then?
Does what?
Does a circle represent eternity in the fact
Well,
that there's no beginning, no end?
yeah, that it can be. It can. That'll be more. Eternity would be the straight lines to start off with. Then when you put it around the globe, because that's what we live on, a sphere. So it's going to be eternity, whether it's in 2 dimension or 3 dimension.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. So you were a maths teacher. You moved
Yes,
from South Carolina
in
uh,
Virginia.
and
Yeah,
Virginia to Oklahoma.
right.
Difficult. Took you a little while to adapt.
Yes, it did. And I have to quote my daughter because when we moved here, it was one of the hottest years that we had ever experienced out here. And her comment to me was, "Mom, we have died and gone to hell." She hated this place because of the heat. So that was her interpretation. She couldn't understand why I liked this place. It was
So,
so hot.
so Jonathan Kahn was the first book you read,
Yes.
correct? And
Uh, it
what did
dealt
he?
with,
Can you just tell us what was the switch? Was there a moment that you realized something, having
um,
read the book?
not really. I thought it was more of a gradual thing because when I started reading, uh, each day was a separate topic. And sometimes he would discuss the topic in a different way in a different place. So I've had to do some cross references. But he just always took the things from the Hebrew perspective and always tied it to Jesus. That was his aim.
Right.
Everything always led uh, to Yeshua.
Emma's asking a question, I think, Margie.
Okay.
Would you ever study the Greek translation, or have you been led only to the Hebrew?
Well, in most of the translations, the main ones are Greek
Yeah.
in the New Testament anyway. But
Okay,
I,
well, Bill Williams puts it in a nice way. He says a tipping point. And that's really what I was trying to ask you. When did you tip over? When did you go over
well,
the edge?
somebody told me about the Hebrew Roots Bible and how much they enjoyed it. So I've got the Hebrew Roots Bible. And from then on, that's what I read. That's what I prefer to read because this was written by another Hebrew individual. And he also tied everything in the Hebrew, tying it into Yeshua. And in the Hebrew Bible, the one that I read, he never refers to the word Lord or God or anything like that. He always uses Yahweh, he always uses Yeshua, and he always uses the Elohim.
Mhm.
So I'm getting used to being able to do that.
Can I move you on then?
Yeah,
Um, you
whatever.
you were talking about the vanishing point in
Right.
Florida, but you also want to talk, and we will get to it. But if we maybe touch the vanishing point first, or do you also want to do the eighth day? Is that am
Hey,
I?
yeah,
Yeah,
those are the two things I
they're
hope
the
we
two
can.
things you want to cover in this conversation.
Right. And see, I read about the vanishing point in Jonathan Cahn's book,
Now,
and it
what
was
is the vanishing point, Mark?
okay. That's what I want to try to explain. If you have the picture, you can show.
Hang on, let me see if I can. Let
For
me see if
now.
I can get it. Just stick with me a minute. Uh,
Oh,
as I say, I'm a bit rusty, and I've got to find the actual. Uh, I've got to find the actual. Do you know what, Mark? I've only got the two points. And we had it before, didn't we? Two or three. Now,
Yes,
where's
we
number
showed
one
it.
gone?
And if we don't, I'll describe the best I can with it.
Okay. Well, can you tell me how you got it,
Well,
first of all?
I read about it in Jonathan Cahn, and he was doing it from the standpoint that the vanishing point was from forever to ever.
Now,
Okay,
let me
he's
see
got,
if I can get this on with
yeah,
one. Again, I'm going to go solo. Okay.
okay. And
So what have we got there in front of us? From vanishing point to vanishing point. Can you try and explain what you're
okay,
talking about there?
we'll do because um, I told you that the book of mysteries, was always a starting point for me, and the vanishing point just stuck in my spirit and stayed, and so I began meditating on it, and these are some of the ways that the Lord opened it up to me. And since I'm a math person, I have to start with the math definition of the point: no length, no width, no height. In other words, you can't even see it. And the
Wow.
only way you can see it is to represent it by a dot.
Which is that one in the middle there, underneath art.
Yeah. And then the line has length and extends indefinitely, as we'll see a little bit later. But when I look at it from the standpoint of art or drawing, that's where the Lord showed me about it, was that when you are doing a drawing or a painting on a flat surface, in order to give it depth, they have what's called a vanishing point, where the roads would go to a vanishing point, streets go to a vanishing point, line of trees all go to the vanishing point. And that's how they got the depth of it.
Wow.
The Lord kept saying I had to look beyond that point.
There
And
used to be a movie, I think it was Toy Story, where the main character says to infinity
and back.
and beyond. That's really
Right.
what you're talking about, isn't it?
It is going beyond. And this, to me, is not just a discussion of a topic. This has put me on a journey about this vanishing point. And thanks to Gail Ann, when I'm not quite down there yet. Do you want to go back up?
Okay.
Okay. He's having fun with the buttons, everybody. Gail Ann, when I was talking a little bit about this on the partners page, she gave me an idea, and thanks, Gail Ann, because I really like this. If you were standing on the earth and you were looking down a road, that's exactly what you would see. You can see only to a point where everything seems to vanish. So if you're walking on that path, the vanishing point keeps going further and further. You never actually reach the vanishing point by just walking along that. And that has given me quite a challenge because I have to make a decision about that point that goes beyond the end point there. I can do nothing and just stay in the boat and stay nice and safe, or I can go and keep walking down that path, always looking for just what's over the horizon, or I can go through that vanishing point because the vanishing point has it's there, but it's not the end. It is the beginning of getting into beyond, no limits, none whatsoever, no limits to time. So
Can I take you to the next one then, the parallel or
yeah,
yeah.
because if you were to draw a path, it would be parallel lines like a railroad track or what have you. And what you have to realize in my definition is that those lines extend indefinitely in both directions. They never end. They keep going on and on. And I like to look at that as the guidelines of God's government. Now, He is not limited to those two borders, but if we limit ourselves to those borders, that's where we're going to experience everything that God is and everything that God does. We will have an endless supply of mercy, grace, love, endless supply of every bit of that. And I read a definition, believe it or not, from Oswald Chambers, who
Wow.
said that eternity is not a gift from God, but eternity is the gift of God.
Can you say that again for us, Mark?
Right? Eternity is not a gift from God. Eternity is the gift of God.
Wow.
So you, you have access to so much. We don't wait until we leave this earth and go, to be with the Lord. That's not when eternity begins. Eternity has always been there. It always has been there. It always is there and always will be there. So we don't have to wait. That's what this vanishing point to me is. I don't have to wait. I have everything that God is. I have access to it.
Can I just come back to this story and I just want to ask you a question on these two lines? I don't know if I can get it on here. There we go. In your
Uh-huh.
parallel lines, you've got two lines there on the left column.
Right,
Uh, God's laws that govern this kingdom. I've noticed you've got an arrow going to the right and an arrow going to the left on both lines.
right.
What?
That just indicates that it doesn't stop. It has never stopped and never will stop. That's the definition of what lines are. And I'm just using that because if you were to draw like a railroad track, that's what it would look like.
Wow.
Two sides don't meet, but they extend, on and on. And, I like what Moses asked, well, what do I tell the people who's telling me these things? And God said, I am. Not I was, or I am, or I will be. It's always I am.
Wow.
To me, the potential is blowing my mind as to what I actually have access to.
Now,
The
the other.
power.
Sorry, go on, Mark.
Go ahead.
The other thing that really, blew me away. I'm trying to see if I can bring myself back up here, but to do that, I've got to switch over. Uh, Forgive me. There we are. Yeah. The thing that blew me away in our Florida talk was that you said, in this revelation
Right,
of walking on this ancient path, into the vanishing point,
right.
is that we actually don't own. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We don't own anything.
In
Is
the in
is
the
that what you
Hebrew,
said?
yeah, that's right. In the Hebrew, there is no word to have.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Well, you
You,
can't say, I have this or you have that. This is mine. This is what have you. That word does not exist. They have to talk about in different things. Um, I look at it as I don't own anything that God has. I don't own it. If I owned it, then who else would be able to get it?
oh,
So, what to me, the way the Hebrew states it is God gives himself to me, and in return, I give myself to him. You see, he doesn't own me. When Jesus died, he bought my freedom. He didn't buy me. All of that is my choice. I choose to give myself to him. He's already chosen to give himself to me. So it's we don't own it. It's
We
there.
we
We
have
have access.
access. We have access to it.
We have access to it. And I know that's probably strange thinking. That's one that I am still chewing on a little bit more, because it comes from the discussion of the Hebrew not having the word to have.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful, isn't it? I mean, really, scriptures talk about that we're stewards.
Right.
Yeah.
And having access to all of this and having that close, intimate relationship with him, um, we can use anything that he has provided. We can use it,
Yeah.
and we don't.
Yeah.
And I think we can really not understand that until we get beyond that vanishing point and step into. To me, it's a whole different realm.
Gaylan says, I don't know, you can't see the comments, can you?
No, I
Uh,
can't.
Let me
That's
just
okay.
bring this one up for you. Um, Gaylan, I like that you said, if I own it, how can anyone else? Can you see that now, Margie?
Yes, I see it.
Yeah. Um, how can anyone else have it? What an awesome God.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
And see, if you had a book and you gave it to me, it's no longer yours.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking, my logic. I don't know if I can't tell you that that's 100% true. That's just the way I'm thinking. My whole thinking is changing.
Wouldn't that be revolutionary if every believer got that revelation?
It would be something.
It's not
It
their
would.
ministry. It's not my house.
And when we leave, we know we're not going to take anything physical. We can't take anything with us. So that's just the physical things, but I think it's true in the spiritual things too. We do,
Jella makes a comment. I think it's from the same book. Let me just bring that up for you, and you can see that
yeah,
the divine, non-possessive.
right. That's
Day
that's
30.
what that's the starting point for me of making me think about this. And Jill, I'm glad you put the day, because if you wanted to find some things in his book, it's hard to find. He doesn't have an index according to.
So is this a journal then? Is this a journal that we're talking
Not
about?
not really a journal. It is a day by day meditation for 365 days, and each day is just one page. And he,
We should do something on that maybe on the mornings.
well, the reason why people have trouble with it is because he set it up uh, as a teacher teaching a student, and that part is not uh, right out of scriptures. That's the way he introduces it, and the student questioning, and he's questioning the student. So uh, that's why you can't even find it in a lot of Christian stores under meditation. You have to go to the fiction section to find the book.
Okay, so should we go back to this? Let me just take you back to this drawing because you've got a circle on this, Mark.
Right.
Um, let me see if I just got to get this right. I've got to just stick with me now.
Yeah, it's
There you
there.
go.
There you go. And I have to tell you, these drawings are not all mine. The parallel lines were, but the original drawings was made by John Mark. When we were talking,
Yes, John Mark did the drawings. Yeah,
he
yeah,
did the drawings, and the drawings to him represented what I was saying. and they were so good. That's why I'm using them.
Yeah, he's in Switzerland at the moment, so he
Yeah,
couldn't join us.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. He did draw these, and these were his thoughts.
okay,
Some people have the ability to take these things and put them in pictures, and some have to take the pictures and read from them. So I'm using his drawings, and I'm not going into a lot about the circles because that gets really involved, and I don't want to cover that right now.
okay,
But think about it now. The one thing, if you think about it, that when these scriptures were being written, um, there were no arguments among the people about whether the earth was round or flat. They had no idea about that, and they did not know that the whether the earth revolved around the sun or the sun revolved around. All of this stuff came later. The knowledge was not there with the people, but there's so many references to things that let you know that God knew.
yeah.
He already had all of that. How could he make one of the scriptures says that if your sins are forgiven as far as the east is from the west? Well, the only way that you would know that is how the earth rotates on an axis, and it rotates in the direction. God knew that's how you could say that, and people believed it, but there was no proof of that, and that's
What
it's
what
amazing. All these things are, when he set up the temples and then the tabernacle, the altar was always on the east, and the Holy of Holies was on the west, and the priest moved from east to west and back. So it's always been there about the importance of the east and west, even though that nobody knew all of the facts and things
what about the
about.
eighth? What about the eighth? Is it the number eight or the eighth day? What you wanted to share something on? Can you give us some enlightenment on that?
Who you talking to, me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, somewhere along the line, my brain went out. What? You'll have to repeat that for me. What?
So you said, if I've got it in my notes here, the eighth day,
Okay,
Leviticus 23 verse 39.
right now, that's what led me. That was another topic. One day, I had read something, probably in Jonathan Kahn, about the eighth day. And all of a sudden, the Lord spoke to me and he said, I want you to live in the eighth day. Now, if I'm supposed to live in the eighth day, I needed to find out what the eighth day really was. And that's when I started, doing some study. And it's found, I've got my Bible over here somewhere, and it's in Leviticus 23,
39.
39. And I'm reading from my Hebrew Roots Bible. Uh, Also, in the 15th day of the seventh month, he was really specific about his numbers. When you gather the increase of the land, and you shall keep the feast of Yahweh 7 days. On the first day, you will have a holy day Sabbath, and on the eighth day, a holy day Sabbath. It doesn't have anything to do with the 7 days in that festival. I think it was Sukkot, Sukkko. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I wish I had
Sukkoth.
all the facts,
Yeah.
but I don't. Somebody else will have to keep me straight on that day. And it says on the eighth day there was to be a holy day Sabbath, totally separate, beyond the 7 days. That's how it tied into me. And also, trying to get the notes all one of the things that happened on that day, that holy Sabbath day, was when they took the priest took the scroll
Yeah.
and they rolled it back to start over, because they read the last part of Deuteronomy when Moses was up on the mountain and the Lord showed him the promised land. And of course, he did not get the chance to, go in the promised land, and they never saw him again. So that's what was read, and then they turned the scroll back to begin again when they started reading in Genesis, because they read the 5 books so much each day for the year, and then they roll it back and start again. And that's what you got. Well, that would get into the definition of year.
Now, Gail Ann says, just to give you a reference on that, because you're talking about the Book of Mysteries, aren't you, here?
Yeah.
Day 89 in the Book of Mysteries, the mystery of the
Uh,
eighth day.
and that's it. I read that, and that's what sent me on to be able to think about these things and understand it. Because if I got to live in it, it's not something that I read about and not a bunch of facts of what I learn. I need to live in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It has to
And
be living to you. Yeah,
it does. It
yeah.
does. And that's what's been so exciting about all of this. And something else about the eighth day, the resurrection took place on the eighth day,
Wow.
because Jesus rose on the
Yes,
first day
yeah,
of the week.
yeah.
So it's also connected to the resurrection.
Wow.
And it's to me it's more than just given the power to leave the old and enter into the new life. That's what the resurrection was all about, getting the new life. To me, when the Lord says, I am to live in the eighth day, it's an invitation to me to go beyond.
Wow.
See, all of it ties back to the vanishing point. That's why the thing is so important to me, to go beyond. And now it wouldn't be complete if we didn't say a little bit about the numbers. I have to do that. I
Well,
really
being
do.
a mathematician, being a
Yeah,
maths teacher,
yeah.
yeah.
I got to talk about the significance of the number 8. And of course, and I do research. God doesn't open my brain and all of a sudden just pour in all of these facts. People are a lot smarter than I have done a lot of research, and so I do the research.
But you know what, Margie? I think we may have discussed on this, because one of the things I think, you're talking about the research. When you do the research, you're quoting people that have studied for years
Right,
or renown in their field.
right,
So it's not just some wild imagination, really. That's what you're saying, isn't it? It's not
right.
just something kooky that's just come into your
So,
head. And
no,
no, these things have been proven by people that have gone before us.
right.
Yeah.
And so and I learned from the books, a lot of books that you've recommended. I learned from the things that you talk in the meditation, and I learned, we share a lot of these things. I'm always learning. But the number 8 is new birth,
New
new
beginning.
beginning, and it also means eternity.
Yeah. It's
That
that letter. It's that letter
that
ket, isn't it?
yeah, right. That I've got that down here also, because 8 is not possible without the completion of 7. 8,
Say that again, Mark.
uh, 8 follows those 7 days. 8 follows 7.
Yeah.
So 8 wouldn't be possible without the 7. And your 7 is divine completion. There's so many samples of, we have 7 days in the week. We have the Shemitah, which is every 7 years. And we have creation, 7.
And
So 8
is it seven
only
sevens, which is year of Jubilee?
the Jubilee.
49, and then the 50th year,
That
the year of
it,
Jubilee.
it's all
Numbers are
tied.
very, numbers are very, very important, aren't they?
They are to me. And then
I think
they're
they are to
more,
all of us, really, Mark. I don't think we realize if you took the numerical system out of it, everything would collapse.
yeah, you know, the quote by Galileo that always said that mathematics is the alphabet with which God created the universe.
See,
And
people think that scientists are anti Christian, don't they? But they're not.
they
They're,
do. I ran across that when I was studying in college because my major was actually chemistry, and I took a lot of math, and took a lot of the scientists, and they all knew that I went to church and I believed in God, and they always accused me of it couldn't be because science just proved all of this stuff, all these formulas, and the way uh, God set this thing up.
John Newton, is it Isaac Newton? Isaac Newton was one of the greatest scientists, and he actually, if you go into the museum there, you can see his notes. He studied the Hebrew letters.
Now that I did not know.
Yeah,
See, I learned
yeah.
that too. So it, it's it just blows my mind. And then you talked about the eighth letter is Ket,
Yeah,
and I looked up the picture is actually a fence or it's a wall. That's what the picture of the letter Ket is. And to me, a fence keeps out stuff that's not supposed to be in there.
yeah.
And it also is a place of security. You're safe. Uh, it's private. You're separated, and you are actually protected. All of those things is what the letter Ket actually means.
Emma Harvey, Isaac Newton. What did I call him before? Isaac Newton
It
also
was
stud also studied Hebrew. I was reading about him recently after a dream. That's Emma Harvey from
He's the
Scotland.
one who supposedly sat under the tree and the apple fell on his head.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
And,
yes,
if you don't think his laws are important, go jump off a building.
yeah.
Well, see, all of these things to me says God was so far above our ability to think or imagine. And it's taken a lot of years with a lot of people studying and investigating, and God has allowed us to learn some of his, not all of it yet, secrets.
But you know what, Mark? I was reading today, um, uh, and I can't pronounce the guy's name, but he was saying we've never lived in a time where there's so much information available to us, and most of it free. Like
Yeah,
a good website is Bible, is it BibleHub.com, which
I,
gives you some of the Hebrew stuff and the Greek and a list of all the translations and everything, all at your fingertips. We are without excuse. We can't say, well, I couldn't do it because I don't have the finances to buy the study materials. You don't even have to go to university now or to Bible college and spend 2 years away. You can actually sit at your desk, go online into places like Bible Hub. What's the other one? Hebrew number 4 for
Hebrew
Christians.
Christians, yeah.
Yeah, all this gives you. It's really, I think, really what you're saying is what I'm really getting at. in asking you this question, it's not just the knowledge, is it? You just have a hunger for this stuff.
Yeah,
Would
I
would I be
do.
correct in saying that?
Yeah, and it's not just the knowledge. You know, people can survive with just the knowledge, but what God does for me, He breathes life into it,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
becomes a part of me, uh, part of my DNA. Whatever you want to do, whatever it does, it absolutely uh, enlivens me,
yeah. Quickens you,
quickens me.
quickens you,
Yeah,
energizes you. It's
yeah.
energy. I was reading this week. I got into a book by this same guy, and I'm trying to think of the name of it, but I'll probably mention it tomorrow. But he was talking about, when the Spirit of God is hovering on the waters in Genesis 1, that word hovering in Hebrew is vibrating. And one of the things in the Toronto move was there was a lot of people, what they would call vibrating, you know, manifesting in almost like a vibration. And it's that creative energy. But because we didn't understand it, because we were thinking in Greek
Right,
and didn't understand the translations, we you tend to write it up. It's the same with the new wine. What amazes me with the new wine is the numerical value is 70, which is the seeing. The
right.
both eyes, that's that 16th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Song of Songs 2 verse 4 brought me
Yeah.
into his house of wine, intoxicated me, so I could
Hmm.
begin to see. It's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. So
Um,
the
you know what we need to do, Mark, is that, and we're coming to the end of our time now. Is there anything else you want to really hit? Any other point?
no,
Um,
I well the question that I'm faced with, and it's a question that is going to have to be answered, and I'm asking, have I moved beyond the vanishing point, and that's why I'm getting so much revelation and so much energy and excitement? Or is God giving me that to encourage me to go deeper, to go into that vanishing point, beyond it? Remember, it's not there, nothing there blocking the way.
do you know, you're talking about that vanishing point and that line, and
Yeah.
what fascinated me was the two arrows both ways.
Uh-huh.
In other words, eternity is outside of time.
It is
And a
not
number of
limited
years ago,
to
there used to
anything.
be a lot of emphasis on inner healing, where they would get the person to go back in time to when they were a child. And really, when you begin to study Hebrew and you study this, the olam and the eternity,
Right.
our spirit should be able to travel back in time and into the future in some ways, Mark. I know sounds crazy, sounds completely crazy, but it's,
It,
I think what I love about what you're saying, it, you know, saved into the Baptist church for me, and what we were taught was you'll get all this when you die.
right. And it's not
But
right. We
actually,
have,
we can live it now, is really what you're saying, isn't it? We can experience this now. God has put eternity in our hearts.
right. And you talk about the wine. I never had the experience of Toronto. My experience was totally different. But
Oh,
now, the way I feel about all of this stuff that he's showing me in all this revelation, that to me is being inebriated, filled with the wine. I
yeah.
may not, uh, may not get drunk, but I sure have a good time with all this stuff. It's really exciting to me.
I put Gail Ann's comment up there. You said earlier that the vanishing point is not a gift from God, but a gift of God. Is he the
Right.
vanishing point?
Eternity. That's the definition of eternity. The vanishing point is just the way we're going to get there.
But our last line there, Mark, is he the vanishing point?
It could be. I don't, that one, that's going to be the question that I'm going to have to think about. And the rest
You're
of
gonna
it,
have to chew that over. Yeah. Oh,
we
oh.
certainly can't get there unless you're through him.
Do you know what would be good, Mark? I was talking to Debbie today, and it would be really nice to do for the partners if we're doing the Sunday nights every 2 weeks now. Uh, no, yeah, we call it fortnight. Do you use that term, fortnight?
No, we don't. We just
No,
every 2 weeks.
it just means 2 weeks. So
Bi-monthly.
not next week, the week after. I
Uh,
think we have Michael Van Flyman. Um, but I said to Debbie, we really need to do this. Needs to be an interactive thing, doesn't it? Where we could
yeah,
maybe have a Zoom group, for the partners, those that are partners with us that enable us to put this broadcast on, and the mornings and evenings and so on. It would be good, Mark, if I don't know whether you're up to this, whether you would like to host a group.
I would
Well, I
be
could come
willing.
on with you. I could come on with you for the first week or two.
Yeah, the biggest problem for me would be I don't have a camera and I can't write all these
No,
things.
but you don't have to do that. We could get someone else to do that, Mark. We could get
Yeah,
somebody
well,
else.
if somebody else can do that, I'm willing to do any
I mean, I
studying.
could do that with the down. I mean, let me just show you this. I don't know how this is going to work, but um,
See, I don't have a camera.
you see,
I'm doing
like here, I could do
yeah,
this. You're talking about two lines.
yeah,
You could send me a
yeah. I got the hair on both lines. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That's
two,
what John Mark was doing when I
yeah,
was
two
talking.
parallel. Isn't that weird as well? It's the number two.
Yeah, there's a whole lot
We've been
about the
talking about the number two, haven't we? The Roaring Twenties,
right.
two
And
tens.
second letter is bit. And if you think about it, when you talk about the scroll being rewound, it's starting over again, and it done every year. And the Hebrew word for year has two definitions. One is an exact replica, and the other definition is change.
Say that again because I lost you on. I was looking at the comments, so
That was,
just because I wanted to. Uh, Emma is asking a question.
uh,
Could Margie record it?
we
The
film it.
bits she has to write, but I think Emma, uh, what we want is an interaction because we can all bring our piece of the jigsaw, can't we?
Right.
You
I
know,
learned from
we
the
learn
comment.
from one another. We learn from one another. So we're not sort of saying that we wanna have a group and Margie will stand at the pulpit and preach, but she'll host it and share like she's sharing tonight, and then give the opportunity for people to come in with their questions or their piece of the puzzle, like they've
Right.
done tonight, really, Margie.
Yeah, I have really enjoyed listening, and then it was Gail Ann who added something originally that put me on a greater path, a more in depth thing.
Yeah. So Debbie's saying it. We could do that for the partners, um,
Mm,
because without them, Mark, and you're a partner. Without them, we wouldn't be here.
I know.
I'm very grateful for that, and it's a way of just rewarding, people that support us.
Hmm.
And it would be a private group then. Now, some people say, well, is that right, having a private group? But Jesus had, a select group, didn't he? He had the 12,
The
and
12.
he had an
Then,
inner circle.
mhm.
Amen. Amen. Do you want to pray, Mark, then, as we close for the
Okay.
listeners? And I don't know what you
Uh,
want. Do you have anything particularly on your heart that you want to pray?
well, what I really want to pray, I want to thank him. I want to thank Yahweh for opening all of this up and making this so real to me. And I just pray that out of this, we will all be able to go through that vanishing point. It's there. Lord, just show us how we can have access to everything that you are. And I praise you and I thank you for you are absolutely wonderful.
Hmm.
And I know that you do not occupy yourself within the universe. The universe is inside of you. There's so much to be grateful for. Thank you for this time. I want to bless everyone who has joined tonight and those who hear the recording. I hope that these words will excite you as much as they have excited me. We ask these things in the name of Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Margo, Margie, Margie, Margaret, whatever your name is.
Whatever it is.
Oh, I'm trying to put there you are. Thanks for. We're only really scratching the surface, aren't we?
Yeah, there's an awful lot of detail
Yeah, and
cited.
I think it needs. You can't do this on a. This is a chat, isn't it? Really tonight, we're just talking over stuff, but to really get into it, we really need this Zoom meeting. And will you be up to it?
I would be up to it. I'll try
Okay,
anything.
let's. I'll have a chat with Debbie this week, and we'll see. We're doing the Sunday nights every other week.
Right.
We could take one of those weeks where every other week we could do a Zoom for the partners. So those that want to become partners, I'm going to ask Debbie if she'll put I don't know, a link or whatever it is underneath this when it goes onto the page. You know, it'll be on the page as a recording, and we'll put a link underneath. So there we go, Mark.
Okay.
Thank you. Been great.
Thank you.
Been great. And sometimes I can manage to keep you on, but I don't think I can because once I press this button, finish. But just stay online just in case. I think I can.
All right.
Anyway, God bless everybody. Tomorrow morning, back to normal. 8 a.m. UK time. 5. No, what's that, Mark? 5 p.m. our time here. That's 11 Central. Is that right?
11 Central, yeah.
12
12
noon Eastern.
uh,
Eastern. What's EDT again?
Eastern Daylight Savings.
E- Say
Eastern Daylight Time.
Eastern Daylight Time. Let me say that time again. 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow. And we're using, I do have the book somewhere. What's
I
the
have a
book I'm
book.
using? Oh, Divine Romance and Song of Songs. Don't know how it's going to work. Going to probably be in the garden tomorrow. Been working all last 2 weeks to try and get it ready, but and maybe go for a few walks and then finish with a reading. God bless everybody. God
That's you.
bless.